Hello, so in this video we're taking a look at when therapy doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? And this can be any kind of therapy, whether it's hypnotherapy, CBT, psychotherapy, whatever it is. I'm going to talk about why it doesn't work. And this is going to be quite a long video where I explain many different elements of it. There is only really one reason why it doesn't work, which we'll get to soon. But I've split it down into about 6 little sub-elements to help explain the main one. So let's get straight into this. The first thing I'd like to address is one big thing that people often ask, which is it a con? Is therapy a con? Is hypnosis just all a scam and it doesn't really do anything? Well, I've been working as a therapist for quite a few years now, and over the years, of course, I have had people leave comments on my videos, and people have asked me in consultations, look, is it just a con? Is it just a scam? Well, let me tell you that I am probably the world's most skeptical therapist. Now, when I did my training, I didn't believe any of this stuff at all. I thought it was nonsense, and I do remember one occasion when I was in the class and I was being taught hypnosis, and the teacher said something that was so funny, it just made me laugh, and I kind of sniggered. I went, and the teacher looked at me and said, "Yes, Paul, anything you want to ask?" And it was all been like, nice and friendly, joking around and that. But I didn't believe any of it. And even when I qualified, I got all my awards, certificates, whatever you want to call them, I still didn't believe it. Even when I was working with clients and they were getting results and telling me, "This is great, you've changed my life, it's brilliant," I still didn't believe it. And I'm telling you this because I want you to understand that I completely get why people think it's a con, but I can promise you it isn't. And I just think it's really important to understand that if you do have that kind of doubt in your mind, it's natural. And even therapists sometimes doubt, is this really working? If you don't know, I work with people who have driving anxiety, and I've had people who have come to me who haven't driven for 30 years, and they say, "I can't believe it, we did a session and it just went, it's brilliant." And I think, really? So please, let's get over that point. It is not a con, it does work, it's real, but I completely understand and I totally get why people think it's a scam. Another really important point about this is that I don't recommend you ever go to a therapist that guarantees you anything. When people come to me, I quite openly say I'm always open and honest with people, and I tell them, look, there is a chance it may not work. I say this in my videos, I tell people when they contact me, and it even says in my contract, it's clearly written, not hidden away, it's clear in a point on its own at the top of the contract. It clearly says, there are no guarantees. You may pay for this service and not get the results you want. It's really important you understand that it's not a con, but there is a chance it may not work. But let's get into looking at why that is. There's only really one reason it doesn't work. As I've said in many of my videos, the way you get rid of a problem is you have to find what it truly is. You have to find where the problem originated. Where did it come from? And when you do that, it will go. Now, that's why therapy doesn't work. If you don't find the real root cause of the problem, what it really is in its true form, it won't go. So really, when people say, why didn't therapy work? It's only ever because of one thing. It's because you didn't find what the problem really was or is. So what I mean by this is, as you may have heard me say in other videos, driving anxiety has nothing to do with driving, and a fear of flying has nothing to do with a fear of flying. However your problem is presenting itself, that's just how it's presenting itself. That's not what it truly is. You have to trace it back, because over years it changes. You see, it's like a child. Your problem is born, let's say, when you're 6 years old, but it changes. So as you grow up, it changes to serve different purposes. A quick example is, let's say, I've used this example before, you're 6 years old, you've been bullied at school, so your mind decides to give you stomach aches so that you can't go to school because you're ill. That stops you being bullied. But then you leave school and that problem finds something else to do. So, well, you don't need stomach cramps now, so it makes you feel ill when you fly. And then you stop flying, so it makes you start smoking. That's how it works in a nutshell. That's kind of therapy explained in a nutshell. It's far more complicated than I can explain in this video, but that's how your problem changes. So you see, you have to trace it back. You don't have to know what it is. You normally do about 90% of the time, but you don't have to consciously know. And this is the big problem. People often say to me, well, I've got this problem of driving anxiety and I know what's causing it. I have to laugh when people say that because it's a complete contradiction. You cannot have a problem and know what's causing it, because if you know what's causing it, then the problem won't exist. Now, if you can hear any banging in the background there, you might have heard some cracks, for example. It's really good that happened at that time. That's because I sit next to a fridge freezer recording these videos. Don't ask me why, I just do sit next to my fridge freezer. That problem of the cracking sound, which ruins some of my videos, is the fridge freezer, the ice cracking. So I know what the problem is, and I could just move to a different area. That's the area of the house, that is. You see, that's the thing. When you know what the problem is, you can get rid of it. So you cannot know, it's impossible to know what the cause of your problem is and still have it. And this is where people go wrong, because people say, well, I know what it is, I know it's this. You don't. Now, with all due respect, I can promise you, you don't know what the problem is. I understand when people say, I think I know what it is, but you don't, because when you know what it truly is, it goes. People often ask me, well, how do you know when you found it? What do you have to do with it? Well, you don't have to do anything, and this is where many therapists go wrong. When you find the cause of the problem, it will naturally fix itself. When you get this therapist telling you, you need to dance around the room backwards and sing this song and kneel down and throw your hands in the air 3 times, and yes, these are all things I've heard, these gimmicky methods that therapists give people to get rid of problems. That isn't what you do. You don't need to write a letter to yourself saying, dear younger me, I think this and this. There is some validity in those things, but you don't need to do them. If you find the real cause of the problem, it will fix itself. So here's an example. Imagine you're in a room and it smells really badly. And you're thinking, what is that smell? And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And somebody lifts up the floorboards and you see a dead, rotting fish. And the smell hits you in the face. That's where it's coming from. Well, you don't need to be told what to do with it, do you? You naturally would pick up the fish, throw it out, get rid of it. You don't need to dance around it and sing a song. That's what some therapists tell you to do. It's rubbish. Nonsense. Once you find the source of a problem, it will naturally fix itself. You will naturally pick the fish up and throw it away without having to be told. And I can promise you that if you find the cause of your problem, the real cause, it will go. The thing is, it goes much deeper than people think. People think, well, I've got this driving anxiety and it started when I lost my job, so therefore that's the cause. Well, I know the cause and it hasn't fixed it. It isn't that simple. There is more you need to do than just think of something consciously. I'm not going to get too deep into this because I could be here for hours talking about how to be a therapist. You don't need to know the how. You just need to know that when you find the true cause, the real cause of your problem, it will go. Let's look now at 6 reasons why sometimes people don't get a result. So it is always down to what we just said, if you don't find the problem. But let's look at what can stop people from finding the problem. The first one is when you get a client that is very analytical and the therapist does not adapt what they're doing to suit that kind of client. Now, I'm a very analytical person, and this is what makes me, in my opinion, makes me a good therapist. But there are people that are very openly emotional. They wear their heart on the sleeve, as the saying goes. They cry a lot, they get upset, there's lots of tears, they're very open about their past experiences. Those people are easy to work with, but sometimes, very often, I get, let's say, 95% of my clients are not like that. They're analytical, they're logical. This is when, if you pair up a therapist who uses relaxation suggestion with an analytical client, you are going to have a nightmare. So if you get one of these therapists who says, lie down, close your eyes, you're going deeper and deeper, and the magical waterfalls are cascading around the unicorns, and you are stroking the unicorn, and you feel so calm. Rubbish. Absolute twaddle. That is not what hypnotherapy is. That's for people who don't know what they're doing. And the analytical person, which is like me, is lying there trying not to laugh. Like I said, I laughed earlier on. You're trying so hard to think, what a load of rubbish they're talking, and I'm paying for this. Right, if you get someone who's analytical, what you're supposed to do is use their analyticalness, if that's even a word, on them. So you use it to their advantage. So you say to them, okay, it's what I call getting them involved in the quest. So you explain how therapy works, and some therapists will say, oh no, don't do that. Don't explain how therapy works. Nonsense. If you explain to an analytical person, okay, so this is a problem from your past, we need to find out what it is. And they get quite interested and say, oh wow, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. And you involve them. So you don't just sit there telling them about unicorns and rainforests. You ask them, like, what happened in your life when you were younger? And they tell you. And you get them to analyse these things, and you get the client involved in the therapy. So all this talk about analytical people can't be hypnotised and all this nonsense, it's just from people who don't know what they're doing. Hypnosis is not about closing your eyes and relaxing. I worked with someone yesterday, and it's quite funny, they were analytical, and I never said close your eyes, and they had their eyes closed for an hour. And there you go, I wish I'd recorded that session. I never even said close your eyes, and they just did it. Why? Because I felt the need to, because they were analytical. I involved them in the search, and it worked brilliantly. So if ever a therapist tells you, oh, you're too analytical, I can't work with you because you're too serious, you're too analytical, that just means that the therapist doesn't know what they're doing. The second thing I'll mention is resistance. Now, hypnosis and hypnotherapy and most forms of therapy, if not all forms of therapy, are permissive therapies. That means that they only work if you give permission for it to happen. If you sit there and you're saying, it's not going to work, this isn't going to work on me, I don't believe in this, it's all a con, it's not going to work, you're not going to get me. Well, brilliant. I'll say to people, well done, you've won, and your prize is your problem. People like that don't get to me because they wouldn't get through my process that I put people through when they apply. But yeah, I used to have that when I just took on anyone and I just fixed any problem instead of specialising. You do get these people we call scalp hunters. We call them scalp hunters in the industry, profession, whatever. They're people who go around and they're really proud, like, well, I saw a hypnotherapist and even they couldn't help me. Even hypnosis didn't work. I've won. You haven't won anything. You're just sitting there resisting. And I can tell you now, if you resist, it won't work. I don't have any special power. I'm there to help you. This isn't magic. And if you resist it, and if you sit there like saying, go on then, wave your magic wand, do your best. No, that's not what therapy is. I'm here to help you, not to fight against you. So if you resist, you'll never win. The third thing is refusing to deal with emotion. Now, this is not limited just to men, but it is a problem more with men. I've worked with men, and I can tell that something's coming up. There's some, excuse the pun, that sounds quite bad. I can tell that there is some kind of emotion happening, that they are feeling something, excuse the pun again, sorry, but they are experiencing something from their past, and they're just not willing to talk about it. I've had people whose eyes are filling with tears, and I say, what's that? They say, oh, nothing. What do you mean? What's that? What's that right there? No, nothing. I'm not crying. My eyes are just running. My eyes are tired today. Yeah. Right. If you resist, you won't get a result. And I've been through this myself. For anyone who says, I bet you would resist, you wouldn't want to cry in front of people. I've cried on dozens of sessions. I've worked with therapists where I've been in tears and I couldn't even speak because I was crying that much. I've been through it all, and I would never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. If you refuse to deal with an emotion, you won't get a result. The fourth element of not finding the problem is when people have this obsession with one session results. I say this to people over and over and over again. I say, look, it's not about one session. If you do it in one, great. I've done it in 20 minutes. And it's incredible. You think, wow, 20 minutes, that was fast. It can happen because sometimes people come into a session thinking about the problem so much that all of the emotion is already there. And all I have to do is kind of click my finger and it's like, boom, it's like they're standing on the edge of the cliff. And all I do is give them a slight push and off they go. But people have this obsession with one session only. I say to everyone that comes to me, if it doesn't work in one session, we do another. I don't charge people per session. I charge people to work with me for a set length of time. And I say, look, if it doesn't work, come back, we'll do another. Do not go thinking that one session doesn't work, so therefore you can't be helped. Sometimes it just takes time. It's like anything. Let's say you go on a date with someone. There's no way you can make up your mind about whether you want to spend the rest of your life with someone after one date. And it's similar for therapy. You need to sometimes take several sessions for your mind to feel good working with me. Sometimes it is just that you might think, well, I'm talking to this bloke here on the other side of the world. I don't really know who he is. I don't really want to tell him these secrets. Fine. There are ways we can do it without you telling me the secrets, but you do need to be able sometimes to come back for more than one session because you can't always just do it all in one. So if it does take 2 or 3, fine. That's just how it goes. So you can get a result in one session, but if it doesn't work fully after one session, just come back for another. The 5th reason is people expect the therapist to fix the problem for them. This is really common, and sometimes I've had people come to me who've said, do you think you can fix this? And they always answer, no. And so, what do you mean no? I thought you could do driving anxiety. Yeah, I can help you fix it because you fixed it, not me. Some therapists believe that they have special powers, that they have some gift where they can use hypnosis. That's nonsense. Hypnosis comes from the client, not me. You go into hypnosis of your own free will. You activate it. You find the problem and you fix it. It's quite funny how the therapist doesn't actually do a whole lot. And you might say, well, what am I paying you for then? Well, what you're paying for is my expertise because I know how to get you to that state. I know what to do when you're there. Now, I don't know exactly what you need to do, but I can guide you and I can help you along. But I'm not going to say to you exactly what to do. So an example of a poor therapist would be someone who would say things like, I want you to imagine a house, and I want you to imagine you're walking up the stairs and you're going into one of the bedrooms, and in the corner of the room there is a wardrobe. That's a poor therapist because they're telling you what to do. What I might do, if I was doing something similar, is to say to people, I want you to imagine something. Can you see what the difference is there? I've just said I want you to imagine something. Now even that isn't perfect because I'm still telling you to imagine something. But people might say, oh, I'm imagining a spaceship. Now I would never have thought of that. If I've told you to imagine a house and you're imagining a spaceship, well, it's not going to work. Then I might say, what's going on this spaceship? You see the difference? I'm not telling you what to think, what to see, what to do. Many clients don't see these things anyway. So if you expect me to fix it, I can't. I can help you, I can guide you, but I can't do it for you. And the final thing is, clients who are just not bothered about the result. I've had clients who turn up for a session and they're like, oh, I've got this problem. Yeah, it's like driving, yeah, I want to fix it, yeah. And I'll say, how important is this for you? Oh, yeah, it's really important. It's the most important thing in my life. I can't wait to get this done. It's really important. Yeah, it sounds like it. I will not work with people like that because if you're not bothered, and they're always the ones that want to sit back and say, go on then, just wave your magic wand, do your hypnosis, fix me. No, it doesn't work like that. If you can't be bothered to put effort in, you won't get a result. So that's why sometimes therapy doesn't work, and I've made other videos in this series, such as what happens when therapy goes wrong. Check out these other videos on the screen now, and if you want help overcome your fear and phobia of driving, contact me through my website, firstdrive.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.